in this Anuvaka we had studied up to Satyanchame. Now we have to take up the next word, Shraddhachame. So we need to spend a little bit time on this word Shraddha to understand that in some depth. We use this word Shraddha a lot of times, and we also use this a little loosely without really understanding the depth of that word. Shraddha, this is an extraordinary Vedic concept. Sayanacharya, one of the finest commentators on all the four Vedas, defines this term as one who has got faith in the other worlds and also in an afterlife. A Shraddha is a faith and a belief that our life is not terminated with this existence, but we also are, because of the various kind of penances and the various kind of practices, the amount of incremental knowledge that we get, one can go to higher and higher realms. So we already used that in our Mangala Shasana, Om Bhuhu. So we are all in the realm of Bhuhu. Then you can go to Bhuvaha, Suvaha. In Bhuvaha, the longevity will probably increase anywhere from 3 to 10 times, 300 to 1,000 years. And then there are people even now in some parts of Himalaya and in some parts of South India like Arunachala, where there are very long living people are there. Yesterday in our class I was talking about this. In central India, in Panchavati, we have ourselves met a person who must have been 120, 130 years old and ramrod straight, and then he was sitting, and then he didn't talk much, but he was very meditative with a lot of luster in him. So people can also go to Suvaha, that is what we call as heaven, and then Mahaha, and the longevity and their eminence and ability goes on increasing from into each realm until they go to Satyam, where they actually become immortal. And then therefore Sayanacharya says, do you have faith that such a series of existences are possible? Then he says that you have got Shraddha. But that is okay. We will now worry about our existence here for now. The reason why Sayanacharya gives that definition, that you should have a faith in the other lives, is it inspires us to do meritorious acts. See, this is also the Christian theology, where they say that you do all the meritorious acts now, then you will go and be in heaven with God for eternity, isn't it? So when you say that you do have an afterlife, and in the afterlife you are going to live in eternity in heaven, it's an incentive for us to do good in the present life. Therefore, it has got a great value to say that. So that is not all. So actually, Shraddha is an attitude that defines a person. Suppose we say, what is your personality? And that personality is defined by what kind of a Shraddha you have got. An extraordinarily beautiful commentary on this you can find in the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 17, verse number 3, Krishna says, Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddhamayoyam purushaha yo yat Shraddha sa eva saha. So how do we understand this verse? All of us, our mind has got a core nature. So we will be able to stray here and there in our attitudes only to a little bit of an extent. The spectrum is very less. If anything that goes beyond that spectrum, suppose you are always used to tell the truth. Sometimes for certain reasons you may slightly twist the truth, you may slightly change the way of interpreting the truth, but you cannot tell a blatant lie. Because you cannot do that. It's not you. It is not your personality. So that is called Shraddha. That means Shraddha is a spectrum of our personality beyond which we cannot go. And this can have three different shades. It can be depending on the dominance of a particular guna. So if the sattva depends on how much of sattva guna is there, tamo guna is there, or rajo guna is there, depending on that proportion, a shraddha is determined. And that is why some people who are evil minded, they have to work very hard to get out of that person. So a lot more work has to be done. But if a person is
probably off topic, but when you have certain food like onion, garlic, which are in the ancestral, they sometimes ask to avoid that.
Sure.
Does that increase the guna?
It does. It does. Because the reason is it's very tasty, very compellingly beautiful, nice, and therefore we tend to eat more. Gluttony increases. So series of effects will be there in the way in which we choose our food. Because there are some people who are so addicted to meat, for example. Even if in one meal they don't have meat, they really get very upset. So food also, in fact, ahara sattve, many times I have spoken about this in Chandogya Upanishad, ahara sattve sattva shuddhi. Only when our food is wholesome and good, fresh, then the sattva, that means your inner characteristic, is pure. Sattva shuddho dridha smritihi. That means our mind will turn towards deeper entities where we need more concentration and more thinking, more contemplation. Smritirlabdhe sarva vipramosha. That is all the knots, sarva grantinam vipramosha. When we have a focused mind, we can tear asunder all the knots that form in our hearts. So there are a series of things. It all starts from Shraddha. So the combination of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas produces a personality. So what is personality? Personality is what a person is made up of in the combination of Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas, by which his actions and attitudes will reflect in his Shraddha. For example, a person has got Shraddha only in gambling, let us say. So why does that happen, that he will always be in the mode of gambling? It is because that is his Shraddha. So he has developed that tamas attitude. Whereas a person who is inclined towards spirituality, inclined towards metaphysics, inclined towards contemplation and prayer, it is there he finds his enjoyment. So therefore, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo guna combination determines the personality or Swabhava. And that reflects in his Shraddha. This we see in many people. Let us say somebody is really committed to money, and that becomes a predominant value for their life. Then the person will go after money with a single-minded pursuit. So he will start thinking every hour he has spent. At the end of an hour, he will think, how much did I earn in this hour? If I have not earned something in this hour, then he will feel really upset that he lost an opportunity. So, or if a person like Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King are there who are committed to ahimsa, then their Shraddha is in non-violence. So the importance of this prayer, Shraddha Chame, give me Shraddha, it is the quality of the Shraddha decides my life. And therefore, give me the kind of Shraddha that increases the quality of my life. Shraddha Chame. Because Satyam Chame, we already talked about it in the previous request. So again, Gita, it gives us, helps us in our decision as to choosing our Shraddha. All the worship of gods must be for the positive, uplifting, sattvika devatas. Certain certain people will go after Vamachara, well, certain people will go after certain kinds of puja of what we call like Shudra Devatas, lower voodoo and things like that. So in all those things, it's all called tamas. So Gita suggests start with the Sattvika Devata puja. And then all our activities and actions must be in accordance with the scripture. Shastra Vihita Karmanushtanam. Then 3 aspects of lifestyle has to be adopted. Yajna, Dana, Tapas. Yajna is worship, Dana is sharing what we have, and Tapas is contemplation and meditation. So this lifestyle is going to slowly improve the proportion of the sattva rajas tamo gunas, and we can change our Shraddha. Because if you look at the root of the Sanskrit root of the word Shraddha, it comes from the root Shrat. Shrat dadati iti Shraddha. That means a person who gives his heart to something. So Shrati means heart. Dadati means gives. One who gives his heart to something, that giving for a purpose is called Shraddha.
The meditative concentration on a like breath or anything, is that
is, yes. First it is going to be breath, then you will get a control on the body, physical body. So that means you get Shraddha for the body. Now for the Shraddha of the body should know how do you make it go to the mind. So in addition to pranayama, in the pranayama you must incorporate a prayer. So when you incorporate a prayer, the pranayama is going to take you to the next level of purifying the mind. So mere pranayama gives you stability of the body, health for the body. From add to pranayama, a prayer. That's why they say Om Hamsa mantra, Hamsaha. So when you say Ham, you are drawing the breath inside. Saha means you are letting the breath go outside. Shivoham, Shivoham, or just Om. So number of that you have to take it from the Guru, obviously. Then so this Shraddha, let us start with the worship of a chosen deity. So how do we make sure that our devotion to a chosen deity is perfected? So we have to put Shraddha in that. So for the sake of Shraddha, you have to give your heart. If you have to give your heart to Shraddha, then you must know why you are giving it. You don't simply give your heart to anything. When you have to give, there must be a purpose. Let us take a mantra and see how that mantra can help us in how we can give a heart to a particular chosen deity. Ishanas sarva vidyanam, Ishvaras sarva bhutanam, Brahmadhipatir Brahmanodhipatir Brahma, Shivo me astu sada shivom. Very familiar mantra, isn't it? Let Shiva be my chosen deity. Shivo me astu. Shiva me astu. May Shiva be for me. I am just taking an example. Any number of mantras are there for any of your chosen deity. Shivaha me astu. May Shiva be for me. Why? It is because he is Om. So what? Patanjali Maharshi says, Shiva is the one, Ishvara is the one whose indication is Om. Tasya vachakaha pranavaha. His indication is Om because he is free from klesha, karma, vipaka, ashaya. That means he has no afflictions, klesha. Therefore he need not do anything, karma. Because of that there is no modification for him, vipaka, and therefore he is not hopeless. And therefore Shiva's symbol is Om. And all those qualities of Shiva is what I want to get. Therefore, Shiva becomes my Ishtadevata because he is Om. Not only that, because he is always Shiva, always auspicious, Sada Shiva. I have another reason to make him my Ishtadevata, because he is Sarva Vidyanam Ishanaha. He is the Lord of all knowledge, and I am in search of knowledge. I am a Vidya Arthi. Only who he is searching for Vidya, not avidya. Only a person who is searching for Vidya can be called as Vidyarthi. And therefore, I am a Vidyarthi. Vidya is to know the Atman. I am a Vidyarthi. And Ishvara is the Sarva Vidyanam Ishvara. Therefore, Shiva is my chosen deity. Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutanam. Of all the living beings, he is the Lord. I am a living being. And therefore, he is my Lord. Hence, Shiva is mine. Can you see how thoughtfully you have to choose your Ishtadevata also? You must be able to justify. When you are able to justify, you can give your heart. When you give your heart, it becomes Shraddha. And in the mantra, we are asking Shraddha Chame, give me that kind of Shraddha, which is a well thought out. It is not an emotional response to something that I have liked at a minute. So now I like Shiva, therefore I shed my tears, and after 2 minutes when I see the halwa, it's right here, so my Shraddha will be lost, isn't it? So Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. And what am I searching for? Sarva Vidyanam. I am searching for Vidya. Where can I find Vidya? I can find Vidya in Veda. And for Veda, the Vedic term is Brahma. And he is Brahmadipati. He is the Lord of the Veda. Since he is the Lord of the Veda, and I am looking for that knowledge of the Veda, therefore I am choosing Shiva. See how many times I have to reason out. I have to reason out that Shiva is my chosen deity because of my body. My body is because of him. I have Sarva Bhutanam Ishvaraha. My mind is there because of him, because he is Sada Shivaha. I want my mind to be ever auspicious, always blessing, always praying for others and for myself, for everyone. And therefore, emotionally, he is going to be my Ishtadevata. Intellectually, because I am in pursuit of knowledge. Therefore, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. And not only that, who are my ideals? Who are my role models? It is the sages. Veda, of course, he is the Lord of the Veda. But that Veda is available to me because of the sages, Rishis. And Rishis are called Brahmanaha. And he is Brahmanaha Adipati. So my role models, my heroes, those sages who have cherished and continued and passed on the Veda up to me, he is the Lord, therefore Shiva is. Hence, Shiva is my chosen deity. So if anybody asks me, why is it Shiva is your chosen deity? I have reasoning to give. How many people can say this? Can say this? How many people can say this? And in this mantra we are saying, give me that kind of Shraddha. This is how we get over blind faith. And if everybody in the world were examining their religious life in this manner, there would have been no ISIS, there would have been no terrorism. Isn't it? Then we have to examine Shraddha a little further. Is Shraddha a cognitive or a emotional entity? Is the Shraddha I am expressing, am I expressing it in an emotional way or in a cognitive way? Isn't it? First I start with emotionally. So definitely it is emotionally, but when that emotion is backed up by reason, it also becomes cognitive. So what is the process of developing this Shraddha? First of all, it starts, there is a 3-step process for this. First, Shraddha starts with an intuition. What is this intuition? I have been studying the Veda, and Veda is saying, you are immortal. Amritasya vai putraha. And then whereas my experience is that I am mortal. But what is the intuition in me always saying? The intuition in me that is saying is, even though there are changes going on in my body, still there is something in me which is not experiencing the changes of my body. Isn't it? So that something is what they call as the pure consciousness or Shuddha Chaitanyam. I have had glimpses here and there. So how did I get these glimpses? It is because I have found that somehow the flux of the world and the flux of my experiences, I am able to deal with an unchanging I. With an unchanging me, I am able to do that. Therefore, can I extrapolate and say I am the ever unchanging child of immortality? There is a vagueness in it, but still there is a glimpse of it. This is illustrated by a very beautiful Buddhist text. There is a Ratna Gotra Vibhaga, one of the Buddhist scriptures, where the Buddha is teaching, because an element of Buddhahood is existing in you, which means in everyone, or if the element of the Buddha did not exist in me, I would not have a disgust for suffering. Isn't it? Why do I disgust suffering? It is because suffering is not natural to me, and therefore I don't like suffering. If suffering was natural to me, then I would be very comfortable in it, isn't it? Just like a fly is very comfortable in slush. Why I am not comfortable in walking in the slush? It is because that's not my true nature. Because I have Buddhahood in me, I have a disguise for suffering. If Buddhahood was not in me, there would not have been a wish to get out of suffering. There would not have been a wish to attain nirvana, nor I would have the resolve to strive for it, and nor the resolve to get it. And therefore there is a Buddhahood in me. And I want to discover that Buddhahood. Therefore I chose Shiva as my deity of choice. So because of the reasoning, Ishana Sarva Vidyanam, etc., because of the reasoning, what has happened to me is, as soon as somebody says Shiva, as soon as I say Shiva, it resonates in me. How does it resonate? If you had a musical instrument, multi-stringed musical instrument, just as if you pluck one string, the other string also resonates. Similarly, this string or chord of my heart, which is Shraddha, heart is Shraddha, isn't it? Where I give my heart. That string actually resonates just by the mention of the word Shiva. Because I have resolved all the logic as to why Shiva is my Ishtadevata. So the very mention of the name of the Ishtadevata must make us lose ourselves. Then you have given your heart. As soon as you say, or somebody says Shiva, somebody says Narayana, somebody says Devi, do you lose yourself? If you have given your heart. Then, this is illustrated by another beautiful Buddhist story. There was actually a banker. His name was Anatha Pindaka. Actually, that was not his real name. His real name was Sudatta. But his nickname was Anatha Pindaka. Pinda means food, a ball of food. So, Anatha Pindaka means whenever he saw somebody destitute, having no food, his heart would melt and he would give food to them. So he had got that name, Anatha Pindaka. All Anatha means those who are destitute. To all of them he used to give. So he lived in Shravasti, where Buddha used to frequent, but because of his extreme busy life, as a banker he was very busy, and therefore he had never had a glimpse to see the Buddha in person. So one day he travels to his sister's house. So when he comes to his sister's house in Rajagraha, his sister's husband, brother-in-law, was also a very good devotee of the Buddha, and he said that I am going to cook bhiksha, for the monks. The householders cook food and then take it to where he is, and they will give the food to him, and he will actually give a talk or pravachana or something like that. So a huge banquet was being prepared in their house. So he asked his sister, why is it? Why are you making so much food? Because he had not announced that he is coming. He simply comes on business suddenly. So that means his sister was not making all that for him. And then he says, Buddha has come, and we are making food for the Buddha. Immediately, this Sudatta says, did you say Buddha? Did you say Buddha? Can we go and see him now? Look at the anxiety, because he had given his Shraddha. Can we go and see now? No, you cannot see now. We can only see him in the evening. No, tomorrow morning. We can only see him in tomorrow morning. So he could not wait to see him. Then in the night, he wakes up 3 to 4 times. Oh, is it time already in the morning? Is it time already in the morning? Just like when you have to catch an early flight, how many times you get up in the night? So similarly, he got up so many times in the night, when can I see Buddha? 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 That was his anxiety. So this intensity is called intuitive Shraddha. So this intuitive Shraddha is not enough. Because let us take our hero Anatha Pindaka. He has got so much excitement to see Buddha and to hear Buddha, but on that day Buddha is not in a good mood. So either he will not give a talk, or his talk doesn't have that spark. Then what happens? His Shraddha collapses. From then on he can never appreciate Buddha. And the whole of Buddha will be judged by that one lecture he heard. And therefore intuition is also not enough. We need to have reasoning. So only when there is reasoning, Shraddha can become perfect, because other than such moments of intensity we talked about, we will go back to our usual confused, disturbed state of mind. So this intuitive attachment to Ishvara has got to be confirmed by reasoning, as we saw in Ishana Sarva Vidyanam. That is why, whether it is Ramanuja or whether it is Madhvacharya, they talk about all the auspicious qualities of God. Why should we say Samasta Kalyana Guna? Sri Ramachandram Samasta Kalyana Gunabhiramam. Why should we say? Because every time you think of an auspicious quality of your deity, conviction comes. This is the reason in all our hymnal literature we describe the beauty of the goddess, the beauty of of the God, and we go to the extent of even extolling the ornamentation of the deity. Each one of those is an argument to make our emotional Shraddha into an intuitive Shraddha and perfected. So therefore, the reason for my worshipping Narayana is because he is dosha duraha. Madhvacharya says Narayana has got to be worshipped because he is free from all flaws. What do I see in the world? In the world, I see only everything is tainted with some drawback. So Narayana is the one who these scripture says is perfect. And therefore, because of his perfection, that is the reason why I do that. Tajjapaha tadartha bhavanam. Yoga Sutra again. A contemplation on a perfect being is to become a perfect being. Is to be in the path of a perfect being. That Shraddha you give me is what we are praying here. Shraddha chame. So we have seen intuition, we have seen reasoning, and then the faith is grounded in reason and grounded in intuition. Faith grounded in reason, in intuition, is tested by reason, and therefore this faith, which is grounded in intuition and reason, must be confirmed by experience. Third factor. If it is not confirmed by experience, it is still shaky. So my prayer for Shraddha Chame is incomplete. So how can I make it, how can I go to the third stage? Third stage of confirming by experience. We have got a lot of samsara dukkha. In all these samsara dukkha's, in all the daily chores that we take, can we say a prayer at the time of every time we do a daily chore? When you get up in the morning, say a prayer. When you are brushing your teeth, say a prayer. When you are taking a shower, say a prayer. Of the chosen deity. Then you have given your heart. This is in Kannada, but I will also translate it. One of the finest songs to drive home the point. Malagiddu mai muriyatalomme Krishna enabarade. Malageddu. See, you have slept and we have got up in the morning. As soon as we get up in the morning, there is a habit of a lot of people to actually stretch themselves, isn't it? Then can you not say Krishna? That means what? Every time after an intense activity, when we are relaxing, when you're relaxing means what? You are stretching. When you're relaxing, can you say the name which resonates? As I said, like a veena which resonates. Can you think of the name of your deity? Mere tappi matanaduvagomme Krishnayana Bharate. That means sometimes we catch ourselves that we have slightly crossed the line when we are speaking because of familiarity, because of lack of control on ourselves, or we get carried away and then we catch ourselves. Oh my God, I should not have said that. So that means I lost Vak Samyamaha. See, Vak Samyama is a very important aspect of our spiritual growth. When I lose that Vak Samyama means control on my speech. When Vak Samyama is lost, can I remember to say the name of my chosen deity? Dodda Darya Nadevaga Krishnayana Bharate. That means when you are having a long journey, in other words, when you are going through difficulties, why not you take the name of your Ishtadevata? Bharava Horevaga Krishnayana Bharate. when you are carrying the burden and the weight of sorrows, when you are carrying the burden and the weight of responsibility, what will you say? Oh my God, why me? I am hurting, I am doing. So we go into actually depression. The opposite of depression is this intuitive, which is grounded in reasoning, which is grounded in experience. It happens pari ಕೆಲಸಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸವೆಂದು ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಇರಬಾರದೆ. In the myriad activities that we undertake, add this also as one of your activity. Then what happens? It becomes completely established Shraddha. Your heart is given for good. Then the Shraddha gets settled, it rests, it is fixed, and it is strong. So we use the word for Shiva, Sthanu. Sthanu means completely embedded and fixed. What is the result of this experience? What is the outcome from this Shraddha? I want Nashto Mohaha Smritirlabdha Tvat Prasada Janardana. Arjuna can now say in the 18th chapter to Krishna, saying, all my confusion is gone. Nashto Mohaha. All that you taught me, I clearly remember. All because of your grace. See, again in success, your giving of the heart is so perfect. Even for success, you don't take responsibility. I mean, you don't take ownership. You say it is because of your duty. So therefore, in essence, Shraddha is not a lukewarm, feeble confidence. So when we say Shraddha Chame, we are asking this ardent and powerful knowledge which is based on perfect experience. A jump, as a very great philosopher Nagasena, again from the Buddhist tradition, he says a jump from the mundane and the ordinary to the sublime and transcendent. To that level, Shraddha is capable of taking us. That's why we have the Shraddha Sukta, Shraddhaya Swamidhyate, Shraddhaya Agnihi Samidhyate. The first quality is that intuition for a chosen deity which kindles this spiritual desire. So we start with that, and then here is a takeoff point for our understanding of Shraddha Sukta, which we will see in another time.